Question 1. Operational review demonstrates that the resource allocation and forecasting process within the Oracle Project Management Cloud environment is consistently identified as a significant bottleneck, leading to delayed task assignments and inaccurate project timelines. The Project Management Office, PMO, needs to implement an optimization strategy. Which of the following approaches best aligns with best practices for process optimization within this context? Option A. Immediately implement a completely new, externally sourced resource management software solution, assuming it will inherently resolve the identified bottleneck without requiring extensive internal validation or integration testing within the existing Oracle Project Management Cloud setup. Option B. Mandate a series of intensive, mandatory training sessions on the existing resource allocation features of Oracle Project Management Cloud for all project managers, without making any actual changes to the underlying process or system configuration. Option C. Rely solely on the subjective opinions of a few senior project managers who have expressed dissatisfaction with the current process to dictate the changes, without conducting any formal data analysis or system-wide testing of proposed modifications. Option D. Initiate a pilot program for a revised resource allocation workflow, incorporating automated forecasting adjustments based on real-time project progress data, and conduct user acceptance testing, UAT, to gather feedback and validate performance metrics before a full rollout. The correct answer is D. Initiate a pilot program for a revised resource allocation workflow, incorporating automated forecasting adjustments based on real-time project progress data, and conduct user acceptance testing, UAT, to gather feedback and validate performance metrics before a full rollout. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in project management where a critical process, identified as a bottleneck, is impacting overall project delivery timelines and stakeholder satisfaction. The challenge lies in selecting the most effective and compliant method for process optimization within the Oracle Project Management Cloud 2022 framework, ensuring adherence to best practices and avoiding potential regulatory or ethical missteps. The need for a structured, data-driven approach is paramount to justify the chosen solution and its expected outcomes. Correct approach analysis. Implementing a pilot program for a revised workflow, validated through user acceptance testing and performance metrics within Oracle Project Management Cloud, represents best professional practice. This approach aligns with the principles of iterative improvement and risk mitigation. By testing changes on a smaller scale, potential disruptions are contained, and the effectiveness of the proposed optimization can be objectively measured against predefined key performance indicators, KPI. This data-driven validation ensures that the optimization is not only theoretically sound, but also practically effective and compliant with the system's intended use and any relevant project management standards or organizational policies. It allows for informed decision-making before a full-scale rollout, minimizing the risk of negative impacts on ongoing projects. Incorrect approaches analysis. Adopting a new, unproven methodology without prior testing or validation within the Oracle Project Management Cloud environment is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. It bypasses established change management protocols and introduces unnecessary risk to project execution. This approach lacks the due diligence required to ensure the proposed changes are beneficial and do not introduce new inefficiencies or compliance issues. It could lead to project delays, budget overruns, and potential breaches of contractual obligations or internal governance. Implementing a solution based solely on anecdotal feedback from a few team members, without objective data or systematic testing, is also professionally unacceptable. This approach is subjective and prone to bias, failing to account for the broader impact on all project stakeholders or the system's overall performance. It risks implementing a solution that addresses a perceived problem but creates larger, unaddressed issues, potentially violating principles of fairness and accountability in project management. Relying on external consultants to dictate process changes without internal validation or integration testing within Oracle Project Management Cloud is another failure. While external expertise can be valuable, the ultimate responsibility for process integrity and compliance rests with the project team and the organization. Blindly adopting external recommendations without rigorous internal review and testing can lead to solutions that are incompatible with existing systems, workflows, or regulatory requirements, thereby creating compliance risks and operational inefficiencies. Professional reasoning. Professionals should approach process optimization by first establishing clear objectives and metrics for success. This involves a thorough analysis of the current state, identifying specific pain points and their root causes. The next step is to brainstorm potential solutions, evaluating them against feasibility, impact, and alignment with organizational goals and regulatory frameworks. A pilot or phased implementation approach, coupled with rigorous testing and data collection, is crucial for validating the chosen solution before a full-scale deployment. Continuous monitoring and feedback loops are essential for ongoing refinement and ensuring sustained process improvement. This structured, data-informed, and risk-aware methodology ensures that optimizations are effective, compliant, and contribute positively to project outcomes. Question 2. Research into a project team's discovery of a more efficient method for resource allocation during the execution phase of a critical project, a method that could significantly reduce future project costs but might introduce minor, temporary disruptions to current workflows if implemented immediately. The project manager is considering how to best integrate this finding. Option A. Disregard the proposed optimization as it was not part of the original project plan and could introduce unforeseen risks to the current project timeline. Option B. Immediately implement the new resource allocation method to realize its cost-saving benefits, assuming the team can manage any minor workflow disruptions. Option C. Inform the project team that process improvements are outside the scope of this project and instruct them to focus solely on completing the current tasks as planned. Option D. Formally document the proposed process optimization. Conduct a thorough impact assessment on the current project scope, schedule, and budget, and submit it for approval through the established change control process. The correct answer is D. Formally document the proposed process optimization. Conduct a thorough impact assessment on the current project scope, schedule, and budget, and submit it for approval through the established change control process. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in project management where a team identifies a potential improvement to a core process. The professional challenge lies in balancing the immediate need for project delivery with the long-term benefits of process optimization. Stakeholder expectations for timely project completion, coupled with resource constraints, often create resistance to deviating from the planned course. The project manager must exercise sound judgment to assess the feasibility and impact of the proposed change, without jeopardizing the current project's success or introducing undue risk. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it adheres to established project management principles for managing change and fostering continuous improvement. By formally documenting the proposed process optimization, assessing its impact on the current project's scope, schedule, and budget, and then seeking formal approval through the established change control process, the project manager ensures transparency, accountability, and alignment with project governance. This aligns with the principles of effective project management as outlined in the Oracle Project Management Cloud 2022 framework, which emphasizes structured change management and stakeholder communication. It also promotes a culture of learning and improvement within the project lifecycle. Incorrect approaches analysis. Implementing the process optimization without formal documentation or approval introduces significant regulatory and ethical failures. It bypasses the established change control mechanisms, which are critical for maintaining project integrity and auditability. This can lead to scope creep, budget overruns, and schedule delays that are not properly accounted for or communicated to stakeholders. Ethically, it undermines trust by operating outside of agreed-upon project governance. Ignoring the proposed optimization outright, despite its potential benefits, represents a failure in proactive project management and continuous improvement. While it might seem to protect the current project's baseline, it misses an opportunity to enhance future project efficiency and organizational effectiveness. This can lead to a perception of resistance to innovation and a missed opportunity for competitive advantage, which, while not a direct regulatory violation, is a professional failing in strategic project leadership. Failing to involve the project sponsor and key stakeholders in the decision-making process is another critical failure. Project management is a collaborative effort, and significant process changes, even if seemingly beneficial, require buy-in from those with ultimate project authority and those who will be impacted by the change. This lack of consultation can lead to resistance, lack of adoption, and ultimately the failure of the optimization initiative. It also violates the ethical principle of transparency and stakeholder engagement. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a structured decision-making process when faced with potential process optimizations during a project. This involves 1. Understanding the proposed change and its potential benefits and risks. 2. Evaluating the impact of the change on the current project's objectives, scope, schedule, cost, quality. 3. Following the organization's established change management procedures, which typically include documentation, impact assessment, and formal approval. 4. Communicating transparently with all relevant stakeholders, including the project sponsor, team members, and affected parties. 5. Prioritizing changes based on their alignment with project goals and organizational strategy. Question 3. The audit findings indicate that the current project task prioritization and resource allocation processes are contributing to frequent scope creep and missed interim deadlines. Which of the following approaches best addresses these process inefficiencies within the context of Oracle Project Management Cloud 2022 best practices? Option A. Focus exclusively on accelerating the execution of existing tasks, assuming that increased effort will compensate for any underlying process deficiencies. Option B. Implement immediate, informal adjustments to task assignments and deadlines based on individual team member feedback to expedite current project progress. Option C. Defer any process changes until the current project is successfully delivered, and then address the audit findings as a post-project review item. Option D. Initiate a formal process optimization effort, leveraging Oracle Project Management Cloud's capabilities for workflow automation and resource leveling, to refine task prioritization rules and resource allocation strategies based on the audit's root cause analysis. The correct answer is D. Initiate a formal process optimization effort, leveraging Oracle Project Management Cloud's capabilities for workflow automation and resource leveling, to refine task prioritization rules and resource allocation strategies based on the audit's root cause analysis. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the immediate need for project delivery with the long-term implications of process inefficiencies identified by an audit. The project manager must navigate potential resistance to change from team members accustomed to existing workflows, while also demonstrating accountability for addressing audit findings and improving future project outcomes. The pressure to meet deadlines can create a temptation to defer process improvements, making a structured and justified approach critical. Correct approach analysis. Implementing a structured process optimization initiative, informed by the audit findings and aligned with Oracle Project Management Cloud best practices, represents the best professional practice. This approach ensures that improvements are data-driven, targeted, and integrated into the project management framework. It demonstrates a commitment to continuous improvement, risk mitigation, and adherence to established project management methodologies, which are implicitly supported by the Oracle Project Management Cloud 2022 Certified Implementation Professional Framework. This proactive stance enhances project predictability and stakeholder confidence. Incorrect approaches analysis. Focusing solely on immediate task completion without addressing the root causes identified by the audit is a regulatory and ethical failure. It neglects the responsibility to improve project management processes, potentially leading to recurring issues and a lack of organizational learning. This approach undermines the principles of effective project governance and continuous improvement. Implementing ad hoc, undocumented changes based on individual team member suggestions without a formal review or integration into the project management framework is also professionally unacceptable. This can lead to inconsistencies, lack of scalability, and difficulty in tracking the effectiveness of changes. It fails to establish a robust and repeatable process, which is a cornerstone of professional project management. Ignoring the audit findings altogether due to time constraints is a significant ethical and professional lapse. It demonstrates a disregard for internal controls and a failure to uphold the standards expected of a certified professional. This can lead to reputational damage and a breakdown of trust within the organization. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a decision-making process that prioritizes understanding the problem evaluating potential solutions against established best practices and organizational goals, and implementing changes in a controlled and measurable manner. This involves engaging stakeholders, leveraging available tools and methodologies, such as those within Oracle Project Management Cloud, and documenting all process adjustments. The focus should always be on sustainable improvement rather than short-term fixes. Question 4. Strategic planning requires a proactive approach to managing project scope. During a critical phase of a project, a key stakeholder proposes a significant enhancement to a core deliverable that was not part of the original scope. This enhancement is believed to significantly increase the value of the final product for end users. What is the most appropriate course of action for the project manager to take? Option A. Proceed with the enhancement and address any resulting budget or schedule impacts at a later stage. Option B. Document the proposed enhancement, assess its impact on scope, schedule, budget, and resources, and submit it for formal change control approval. Option C. Reject the enhancement outright as it was not part of the original project scope and would introduce unnecessary risk. Option D. Immediately implement the enhancement to ensure client satisfaction and maximize product value. The correct answer is D. Immediately implement the enhancement to ensure client satisfaction and maximize product value. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in project management where a critical deliverable scope is being questioned late in the project lifecycle. The challenge lies in balancing the need to adhere to the approved project plan and budget with the potential benefits of incorporating a new, valuable requirement. Ignoring the request risks client dissatisfaction and a potentially less impactful final product. Conversely, accepting the change without proper process could lead to scope creep, budget overruns, schedule delays, and a failure to meet original project objectives. The professional challenge is to navigate this situation ethically and effectively, ensuring all stakeholders are informed and decisions are made based on established project management principles and the Oracle Project Management Cloud Framework. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves initiating a formal change control process. This aligns with best practices in project management, as defined by frameworks like those supported by Oracle Project Management Cloud. Specifically, it requires documenting the proposed change, assessing its impact on scope, schedule, budget, and resources, and then presenting this analysis to the relevant stakeholders, e.g., project sponsor, change control board, for a formal decision. This process ensures transparency, accountability, and a data-driven decision that considers the overall project objectives and constraints. It upholds the integrity of the project plan while providing a structured mechanism for incorporating valuable adjustments. This methodical approach prevents ad hoc decision-making and mitigates risks associated with uncontrolled scope expansion. Incorrect approach is analysis. One incorrect approach is to immediately reject the request without any evaluation. This fails to acknowledge the potential value of the new requirement and can lead to client dissatisfaction and a missed opportunity to enhance the project's outcome. Ethically, it demonstrates a lack of responsiveness to stakeholder needs. Another incorrect approach is to accept the change without following the established change control process. This directly violates project management best practices and the principles of controlled scope management. It opens the door to scope creep, budget overruns, and schedule delays, potentially jeopardizing the project's success and the organization's reputation. It also bypasses necessary risk assessment and stakeholder approval, which are critical for responsible project execution. A third incorrect approach is to proceed with the change and address the impact later. This is a reactive and irresponsible method that creates significant uncertainty and risk. It undermines the project plan and can lead to unforeseen issues that are far more difficult and costly to resolve retrospectively. It also demonstrates a lack of foresight and adherence to structured project governance. Professional reasoning. Professionals should approach such situations by first understanding the proposed change and its potential implications. The decision-making process should be guided by the project charter, the approved project plan, and the organization's established change management procedures. This involves a systematic evaluation of the change's impact across all project constraints. When faced with a late-stage change request, the priority is to maintain control over the project's scope, schedule, and budget while remaining open to valuable enhancements. The key is to follow a defined process that ensures informed decisions are made by the appropriate authorities, thereby protecting the project's integrity and maximizing its chances of success. Question 5. Which approach would be most effective for optimizing the project task completion process within Oracle Project Management Cloud, ensuring both efficiency and adherence to project governance standards? Option A. Encouraging project managers to bypass standard task approval processes for faster turnaround times. Option B. Implementing automated workflow rules and approval chains within Oracle Project Management Cloud to streamline task status updates and resource assignments. Option C. Developing custom scripts to extract project data from Oracle Project Management Cloud for manual review and approval outside the system. Option D. Relying on external spreadsheet tools to track task progress and manually update Oracle Project Management Cloud at the end of each reporting period. The correct answer is B. Implementing automated workflow rules and approval chains within Oracle Project Management Cloud to streamline task status updates and resource assignments. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in project management, balancing the need for efficiency with the imperative to maintain data integrity and compliance within the Oracle Project Management Cloud environment. The professional challenge lies in identifying a process optimization strategy that not only streamlines workflows, but also adheres strictly to the principles and functionalities inherent in the 1Z0-1057-22 Oracle Project Management Cloud 2022 Certified Implementation Professional Framework. This requires a deep understanding of how Oracle's project management tools are designed to support best practices and regulatory adherence. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it leverages the integrated capabilities of Oracle Project Management Cloud to automate and standardize processes. By focusing on configuring existing workflows and utilizing built-in reporting and approval mechanisms, it ensures that optimizations are implemented within the system's design controls. This aligns with the principles of good governance and data management, minimizing the risk of errors or non-compliance that could arise from manual workarounds or external tools. The Oracle framework is built to facilitate such controlled optimizations, ensuring that changes are auditable and maintain data integrity. An incorrect approach that relies on manual data manipulation outside of Oracle Project Management Cloud introduces significant regulatory and ethical risks, bypasses the system's inherent controls, making it difficult to track changes, verify data accuracy, and ensure compliance with any project-specific or organizational policies. This can lead to data discrepancies, audit failures, and potential breaches of data privacy or security regulations, even if not explicitly stated in the exam's jurisdiction. The principle of data integrity and auditability is universally critical in professional project management. Another incorrect approach that involves bypassing standard approval workflows, even for perceived efficiency gains, undermines the project's governance structure. This can lead to unauthorized changes, misallocation of resources, and a lack of accountability, all of which are professionally unacceptable and can have serious project and organizational consequences. Professionals should approach process optimization by first thoroughly understanding the capabilities and limitations of the Oracle Project Management Cloud. They should then identify areas for improvement that can be addressed through configuration, automation, or workflow adjustments within the system itself. Prioritizing solutions that maintain data integrity, auditability, and adherence to established project governance is paramount. A structured approach involving analysis, design, testing, and validation within the Oracle environment ensures that optimizations are effective, compliant, and sustainable. Question 6. The review process indicates that project task completion times are consistently exceeding planned durations, impacting overall project timelines. To address this, which of the following strategies would best optimize the process within Oracle Project Management Cloud? Option A. Immediately implement the latest available project management features in Oracle Project Management Cloud, assuming they will inherently improve efficiency without a detailed analysis of current processes. Option B. Rely on the subjective feedback from a few senior project managers regarding perceived inefficiencies and manually adjust task durations based on their opinions. Option C. Focus on automating all project reporting functions first, believing that improved visibility will indirectly lead to faster task completion. Option D. Analyze current task dependencies and resource assignments within Oracle Project Management Cloud to identify bottlenecks and opportunities for parallel processing or resource reallocation. Then configure the system to reflect these optimized workflows. The correct answer is D. Analyze current task dependencies and resource assignments within Oracle Project Management Cloud to identify bottlenecks and opportunities for parallel processing or resource reallocation. Then configure the system to reflect these optimized workflows. Explanation. The review process indicates a need to optimize project workflows within Oracle Project Management Cloud. This scenario is professionally challenging because optimizing processes requires a deep understanding of both the Oracle Project Management Cloud functionalities and the underlying business objectives. Simply applying generic optimization techniques without considering the specific project context and the capabilities of the tool can lead to inefficient or even detrimental changes. Careful judgment is required to identify bottlenecks, streamline tasks, and leverage the system's features effectively to improve project delivery. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it focuses on a systematic and data-driven method for process improvement. By analyzing existing workflows, identifying key performance indicators, KPI, relevant to project success, and then leveraging Oracle Project Management Cloud's capabilities to address identified inefficiencies, the project team can achieve tangible improvements. This aligns with best practices in project management and system implementation, ensuring that changes are aligned with business goals and are measurable. The Oracle Project Management Cloud 2022 Certified Implementation Professional Certification emphasizes the practical application of the tool to solve business problems, and this approach directly reflects that. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on implementing new features without understanding their impact on existing workflows is professionally unacceptable. This can lead to user resistance, increased complexity, and a failure to achieve the desired optimization. It disregards the principle of change management and the importance of user adoption. Another incorrect approach that relies on anecdotal evidence or personal preferences rather than objective data is also professionally unsound. This can result in decisions that are not aligned with actual project needs or system capabilities, leading to wasted resources and potential project delays. It fails to adhere to the data-driven decision-making expected in professional project management. A third incorrect approach that prioritizes speed of implementation over thorough analysis and testing risks introducing errors and overlooking critical dependencies, which can have significant negative consequences on project outcomes and system integrity. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach. First, clearly define the problem or area for optimization. Second, gather objective data and metrics to understand the current state. Third, identify potential solutions, considering the capabilities of Oracle Project Management Cloud and best practices in project management. Fourth, evaluate these solutions based on their potential impact, feasibility, and alignment with business objectives. Fifth, implement the chosen solution with a robust change management plan and thorough testing. Finally, monitor the results and iterate as necessary to ensure continuous improvement. Question 7. The analysis reveals that a project team is experiencing recurring delays in task completion due to inefficient communication workflows and a lack of standardized documentation practices within the Oracle Project Management Cloud environment. The project manager needs to address these process inefficiencies to improve overall project delivery without jeopardizing the current project's timeline or budget. Option A. Conduct a thorough review of current communication and documentation processes. Gather feedback from team members and stakeholders, identify specific bottlenecks, and propose phased, data-backed improvements, starting with a pilot of a revised documentation template and a new communication protocol for critical updates. Option B. Postpone all process improvement initiatives until the current project is successfully delivered, focusing exclusively on meeting the existing project deadlines and deliverables. Option C. Introduce significant changes to the documentation standards and communication channels based on the project manager's personal experience and intuition, without consulting the team or analyzing existing data. Option D. Immediately implement a new, complex communication and collaboration tool that has been recently adopted by another department, assuming it will resolve the existing issues without prior testing or team training. Correct answer is A. Conduct a thorough review of current communication and documentation processes. Gather feedback from team members and stakeholders. Identify specific bottlenecks and propose phased, data-backed improvements, starting with a pilot of a revised documentation template and a new communication protocol for critical updates. Explanation. The analysis reveals a common challenge in project management, balancing the need for process optimization with the practical constraints of a live project. The scenario requires a project manager to identify and implement improvements without disrupting ongoing deliverables or violating established project governance. This is professionally challenging because it demands a nuanced understanding of the project's current state, the potential impact of changes, and the organization's risk tolerance. A hasty or poorly planned optimization effort can lead to scope creep, budget overruns, schedule delays, and stakeholder dissatisfaction, all of which are critical project failures. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a data-driven, phased, and collaborative strategy for process optimization. This aligns with the principles of continuous improvement often embedded in project management methodologies and Oracle's project management cloud functionalities. By first establishing a baseline, identifying specific pain points through stakeholder feedback and system data, and then piloting changes, the project manager minimizes risk and ensures that optimizations are relevant and effective. This methodical approach respects the project's current commitments while strategically enhancing future performance. It also fosters transparency and buy-in from stakeholders, which is crucial for successful adoption of new processes. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on implementing a new, unproven methodology without proper analysis or stakeholder consultation represents a significant regulatory and ethical failure. This disregards the established project plan and governance, potentially leading to noncompliance with project objectives and contractual obligations. It also fails to uphold the ethical responsibility to manage projects effectively and transparently, potentially misleading stakeholders about the impact of changes. Another incorrect approach, which involves making significant process changes based on anecdotal evidence without quantitative data or a pilot phase, is also professionally unacceptable. This demonstrates a lack of due diligence and a failure to adhere to best practices in process improvement, which emphasize evidence-based decision-making. Such an approach risks introducing inefficiencies or unintended consequences, thereby failing to optimize the process and potentially harming project outcomes. A third incorrect approach, which involves delaying any process optimization until the current project is completed, fails to leverage opportunities for immediate improvement and can lead to continued inefficiencies. While project completion is a priority, proactive identification and implementation of minor, low-risk optimizations can yield significant benefits throughout the project lifecycle and for future projects. This approach misses the opportunity for continuous improvement, a core tenet of effective project management. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve 1. Understanding the current project state and objectives. 2. Identifying specific areas for improvement through data analysis and stakeholder input. 3. Evaluating the potential impact of proposed changes on scope, schedule, budget, and quality. 4. Developing a phased implementation plan, including pilot testing where appropriate. 5. Securing stakeholder buy-in and communicating changes effectively. 6. Monitoring and measuring the effectiveness of implemented optimizations. Question 8. Benchmark analysis indicates that a key stakeholder has raised a significant concern regarding the potential impact of a proposed change on their department's operational efficiency, a concern that was not fully anticipated during the initial project planning phase. The project manager needs to address the stakeholder's apprehension effectively to maintain project momentum and stakeholder alignment. Option A. Schedule a dedicated meeting with the stakeholder to thoroughly discuss their concerns, understand the specific operational impacts, and collaboratively explore potential mitigation strategies or adjustments to the project plan. Option B. Immediately escalate the stakeholders' concerns to the project sponsor and senior management, requesting their intervention to resolve the issue. Option C. Advise the stakeholder that their concerns are outside the scope of the current project and suggest they raise them through separate departmental channels. Option D. Inform the stakeholder that their concerns are noted, but the project must proceed as planned to meet critical deadlines, with the understanding that operational adjustments will be made post-implementation. Correct answer is A. Schedule a dedicated meeting with the stakeholder to thoroughly discuss their concerns, understand the specific operational impacts, and collaboratively explore potential mitigation strategies or adjustments to the project plan. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between the project manager's responsibility to deliver the project on time and within budget, and the need to manage stakeholder expectations and ensure their buy-in. The project manager must navigate differing priorities and levels of influence among stakeholders, particularly when a key stakeholder expresses concerns that could impact project scope or timeline. The Oracle Project Management Cloud 2022 Certified Implementation Professional Certification emphasizes the importance of proactive stakeholder engagement and communication within the defined regulatory framework. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes open and transparent communication with the concerned stakeholder. By scheduling a dedicated meeting, the project manager demonstrates respect for the stakeholder's concerns and provides a platform for detailed discussion. This allows for a thorough understanding of the stakeholder's perspective, the identification of potential impacts, and collaborative problem-solving. This aligns with the principles of effective stakeholder management, which are implicitly supported by the Oracle Project Management Cloud framework's emphasis on communication and collaboration to ensure project success and adherence to project governance. An incorrect approach that involves dismissing the stakeholder's concerns without proper investigation would be professionally unacceptable. This failure to acknowledge and address legitimate stakeholder feedback can lead to increased resistance, lack of support, and ultimately, project failure. Ethically, it violates the principle of good faith and transparency expected in professional project management. Another incorrect approach, such as unilaterally deciding to proceed without addressing the stakeholder's concerns, demonstrates a disregard for stakeholder input and a failure to follow established project governance. This can lead to reputational damage and a breakdown of trust, which are detrimental to future project endeavors and violate the spirit of collaborative project execution. A further incorrect approach, like escalating the issue immediately to senior management without attempting to resolve it at the project level, bypasses the project manager's responsibility to manage stakeholder relationships. While escalation may be necessary in some cases, it should be a last resort after genuine attempts at resolution have been made. This premature escalation can be perceived as an inability to manage project dynamics and constrain relationships with both the stakeholder and senior management. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach to stakeholder engagement. First, actively listen to and acknowledge all stakeholder concerns. Second, assess the validity and potential impact of the concerns. Third, engage in collaborative problem-solving with the stakeholder to find mutually agreeable solutions. Fourth, document all communications and decisions. Finally, if resolution cannot be achieved at the project level, then and only then consider appropriate escalation channels, ensuring all prior efforts are clearly communicated. This systematic process ensures that stakeholder needs are met while maintaining project objectives and adhering to professional standards. Question 9. The risk matrix shows a high probability, high impact risk related to a critical vendor dependency. The project sponsor, who is also a key stakeholder with significant influence, has expressed strong reservations about the proposed mitigation strategy, which involves diversifying the vendor base. The sponsor believes this will increase costs and introduce new complexities without significant benefit. How should the project manager proceed? Option A. Inform the sponsor that the mitigation strategy is mandatory and that their concerns cannot be accommodated due to the severity of the risk. Option B. Proceed with the diversification strategy as planned, as it is the recommended approach based on the risk assessment, and inform the sponsor of the decision. Option C. Schedule a dedicated meeting with the sponsor to understand their specific concerns, present data supporting the diversification strategy, and collaboratively explore alternative or modified mitigation approaches that address their reservations while still managing the risk effectively. Option D. Immediately escalate the disagreement to the sponsor's direct manager, highlighting the sponsor's resistance to a critical risk mitigation. The correct answer is C. Schedule a dedicated meeting with the sponsor to understand their specific concerns, present data supporting the diversification strategy, and collaboratively explore alternative or modified mitigation approaches that address their reservations while still managing the risk effectively. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in project management where a key stakeholder, despite having a vested interest and significant influence, is resistant to a proposed risk mitigation strategy. The challenge lies in balancing the need for stakeholder buy-in with the project manager's responsibility to implement effective risk management practices that align with project objectives and potentially regulatory compliance. Though specific regulations are not detailed here, the principle of due diligence in risk management is universal. Project manager must navigate this resistance without alienating the stakeholder or compromising the project's risk posture. Correct approach analysis. Engaging the stakeholder in a collaborative discussion to understand their concerns and jointly explore alternative mitigation strategies represents best professional practice. This approach fosters transparency, builds trust, and leverages the stakeholder's expertise. By actively listening and seeking common ground, the project manager can often identify underlying issues or propose modifications that address the stakeholder's reservations while still achieving the desired risk reduction. This aligns with principles of effective communication and stakeholder management, crucial for project success and maintaining professional relationships. Incorrect approaches analysis. Ignoring the stakeholders' concerns and proceeding with the mitigation plan without further discussion is professionally unacceptable. This demonstrates a lack of respect for the stakeholders' input, can lead to future resistance or sabotage, and undermines the collaborative spirit essential for project success. Ethically, it fails to uphold the principle of open communication and stakeholder engagement. Attempting to bypass the stakeholder by escalating the issue to their superior without first attempting direct resolution is also professionally problematic. While escalation might be a last resort, doing so prematurely can damage the relationship with the stakeholder and create an adversarial environment. It suggests an inability to manage stakeholder relationships effectively and can be perceived as unprofessional politeness. Presenting the risk mitigation as a non-negotiable directive without seeking any input or compromise is another professionally unsound approach. This autocratic style can breed resentment and disengagement from the stakeholder, potentially leading to passive resistance or active opposition. It fails to recognize the value of diverse perspectives in risk management and can create a perception of a top-down, uncollaborative project environment. Professional reasoning. Professionals should approach stakeholder resistance with empathy and a problem-solving mindset. The decision-making process should involve 1. Actively listening to understand the root cause of the resistance. 2. Acknowledging the stakeholder's perspective and validating their concerns. 3. Collaboratively exploring alternative solutions that address both project needs and stakeholder interests. 4. Documenting all discussions and agreed-upon action. 5. Escalating only when all other avenues for resolution have been exhausted and with a clear rationale. Question 10. During the evaluation of a complex IT infrastructure upgrade project, a key executive sponsor who has significant influence over project funding and strategic direction has consistently missed project review meetings and has provided minimal feedback on progress reports, despite repeated attempts to solicit their input. The project manager needs to ensure this sponsor remains aligned and supportive. Option A. Schedule a one-on-one meeting with the sponsor to present a concise overview of project progress, highlight key decisions made, and specifically address how their strategic objectives are being met, offering to tailor future communications to their preferred format and frequency. Option B. Assume the sponsor's lack of engagement signifies tacit approval of the project's current trajectory and continue with project execution without further direct engagement. Option C. Proceed with making critical project decisions independently, believing that the sponsor's absence from meetings implies they are deferring all decision-making authority to the project manager. Option D. Forward the sponsor a standard, detailed project status report via email and consider their lack of response as an indication that no further action is required from the project team. The correct answer is A. Schedule a one-on-one meeting with the sponsor to present a concise overview of project progress, highlight key decisions made, and specifically address how their strategic objectives are being met, offering to tailor future communications to their preferred format and frequency. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in project management where a key stakeholder, despite having a vested interest, exhibits a lack of engagement and understanding of project progress. This can lead to misaligned expectations, delayed decision-making, and ultimately, project risks. The challenge lies in effectively managing the stakeholders' expectations and ensuring their informed participation without alienating them or overstepping communication boundaries. Careful judgment is required to balance the need for stakeholder buy-in with the practicalities of project execution. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach focuses on proactive and tailored communication. By scheduling a dedicated session to review project progress, specifically addressing the stakeholders' concerns and clarifying the impact of decisions, the project manager demonstrates a commitment to their involvement. This aligns with best professional practices in stakeholder management, emphasizing transparency, active listening, and the provision of relevant information in a digestible format. This approach fosters trust and ensures the stakeholder is equipped to provide meaningful input, thereby mitigating risks associated with their disengagement. It adheres to the principles of effective project governance and communication outlined in Oracle Project Management Cloud Best Practices, which stress the importance of keeping all stakeholders informed and engaged according to their influence and interest. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves assuming the stakeholder will eventually catch up on their own. This is professionally unacceptable, as it neglects the project manager's responsibility to manage stakeholder expectations and engagement. It can lead to significant project delays and scope creep if the stakeholders' lack of understanding results in late-stage objections or requests for changes. Ethically, it fails to uphold the duty of care to ensure all parties with a stake in the project are adequately informed and have the opportunity to contribute. Another incorrect approach is to bypass the stakeholder and proceed with decisions, assuming their lack of engagement implies agreement. This is a critical professional and ethical failure. It undermines the principles of collaborative decision-making and can lead to significant rework and dissatisfaction if the stakeholder later objects to decisions made without their informed consent. This approach disregards the stakeholder's legitimate interest and can damage long-term professional relationships. A further incorrect approach is to simply send a generic project status report without any follow-up or tailored explanation. While reporting is important, this method fails to address the specific needs of an unengaged stakeholder. It is a passive approach that does not actively seek to improve understanding or address the root cause of their disengagement. Professionally, it represents a missed opportunity to build rapport and ensure alignment. And ethically, it can be seen as a perfunctory fulfillment of reporting duties, rather than a genuine effort at stakeholder management. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a structured approach to stakeholder management. This involves identifying all stakeholders, analyzing their influence and interest, and developing a tailored communication plan. When a stakeholder appears disengaged or uninformed, the first step is to understand the reason for this lack of engagement. This might involve direct, empathetic communication to gauge their concerns. The next step is to adapt communication strategies to meet their specific needs, providing information in a format and at a level of detail that facilitates understanding and encourages participation. The ultimate goal is to foster an environment of informed collaboration, ensuring that all stakeholders feel valued and that their input is considered, thereby contributing to project success and upholding professional integrity. Question 11. System analysis indicates that a key stakeholder for an upcoming Oracle Project Management Cloud implementation project has consistently missed project update meetings and has provided vague feedback when engaged. This stakeholder holds significant authority over critical resource allocation. What is the most effective approach for the project manager to ensure this stakeholder's alignment and support? Option A. Inform senior management about the stakeholder's disengagement and request their intervention to compel the stakeholder's participation. Option B. Proceed with project decisions, documenting the stakeholder's lack of engagement as a project risk without further direct intervention. Option C. Continue with the planned project activities, assuming the stakeholder's silence implies acceptance of the current direction. Option D. Schedule a one-on-one meeting with the stakeholder to understand their concerns, explain the project's objectives and their impact, and collaboratively identify how their involvement can be most effective. Correct answer is D. Schedule a one-on-one meeting with the stakeholder to understand their concerns, explain the project's objectives and their impact, and collaboratively identify how their involvement can be most effective. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in project management where a key stakeholder, despite having significant influence, exhibits a lack of engagement and understanding of project objectives. This can lead to misaligned expectations, delayed decisions, and ultimately, project failure. The professional challenge lies in proactively managing this stakeholder relationship to ensure their buy-in and support without alienating them or compromising project integrity. The Oracle Project Management Cloud 2022 Certified Implementation Professional Certification emphasizes practical application of project management principles within a defined framework, and effective stakeholder management is a cornerstone of this. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach, which involves proactively seeking to understand the stakeholder's perspective and educating them on project impacts, represents best professional practice. This aligns with the principles of effective communication and stakeholder engagement mandated by project management best practices, which are implicitly tested in the 1Z0-1057-22 exam. By actively listening and providing clear, concise information tailored to their level of understanding, the project manager builds trust and fosters collaboration. This proactive stance ensures that the stakeholders' concerns are addressed early, preventing potential roadblocks and promoting a shared understanding of project goals and their implications. This approach is ethically sound as it prioritizes transparency and mutual respect. Incorrect approach is analysis. One incorrect approach would be to proceed with project decisions without adequate stakeholder input, assuming their lack of engagement implies agreement. This is professionally unacceptable as it disregards the fundamental principle of stakeholder involvement, potentially leading to rework, dissatisfaction, and project derailment. Ethically, it demonstrates a lack of due diligence and respect for the stakeholder's role and potential impact. Another incorrect approach would be to escalate the issue to senior management immediately without attempting to resolve it directly. While escalation might be necessary eventually, bypassing direct communication and engagement with the stakeholder is premature and can damage the professional relationship. It suggests an inability to manage stakeholder dynamics effectively, a core competency expected of a certified professional. This approach fails to uphold the ethical obligation to attempt resolution at the lowest possible level. A further incorrect approach would be to simply document the stakeholder's disengagement as a risk without any mitigation strategy. While risk documentation is important, it is insufficient when a proactive solution is clearly needed. This passive approach abdicates responsibility for managing a critical project element and fails to demonstrate the proactive problem-solving expected of a project manager. It is a failure to act on identified risks, which is professionally and ethically questionable. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a structured approach to stakeholder management. This involves initial identification and analysis of stakeholders, followed by the development of a communication and engagement plan. When faced with disengaged stakeholders, the decision-making process should prioritize understanding the root cause of their disengagement, followed by tailored communication strategies. If direct engagement proves insufficient, then a phased escalation process, involving clear documentation of efforts and rationale, should be considered. The overarching principle is to maintain open communication, build relationships, and ensure alignment towards project objectives, always acting with integrity and professionalism. Question 12. The efficiency study reveals that the current change request approval process for the new software implementation project is consistently exceeding the target turnaround time, leading to frustration among key business unit stakeholders who feel their input is not being incorporated promptly. As the project manager, what is the most effective approach to address this issue while maintaining project integrity and stakeholder confidence? Option A. Delegate the responsibility for managing change request timelines to individual team leads without establishing a centralized oversight mechanism. Option B. Expedite approvals for all pending change requests by temporarily bypassing certain review steps to clear the backlog and demonstrate responsiveness. Option C. Advise stakeholders that the current approval timelines are standard for complex projects and that they should adjust their expectations accordingly while continuing with the existing process. Option D. Initiate a focused review of the change request workflow within Oracle Project Management Cloud, involving the Change Control Board and affected stakeholders to identify specific bottlenecks and collaboratively implement process improvements. The correct answer is D. Initiate a focused review of the change request workflow within Oracle Project Management Cloud, involving the Change Control Board and affected stakeholders to identify specific bottlenecks and collaboratively implement process improvements. Explanation: the efficiency study reveals a significant bottleneck in the project's change request approval process, directly impacting stakeholder satisfaction due to delays in incorporating their feedback. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the need for timely project progress with the imperative to manage stakeholder expectations and ensure their buy-in. The Oracle Project Management Cloud OPM framework emphasizes proactive stakeholder engagement and efficient change control. The correct approach involves a systematic review of the change request process, identifying the root cause of the delays, and implementing targeted improvements. This aligns with OPM best practices for change management, which advocate for clear workflows, defined roles and responsibilities, and efficient communication channels. By addressing the bottleneck directly and involving relevant stakeholders in the solution, project managers demonstrate adherence to principles of good governance and effective project execution, ensuring that changes are managed transparently and efficiently, thereby fostering trust and collaboration. An incorrect approach would be to ignore the findings of the efficiency study or to implement superficial changes without understanding the underlying issues. This would be professionally unacceptable, as it disregards data-driven insights and fails to address the core problem, leading to continued stakeholder dissatisfaction and potential project derailment. Another incorrect approach would be to bypass established change control procedures to expedite approvals, which undermines the integrity of the project's governance framework and introduces risks of scope creep and uncontrolled modifications. This violates the principles of structured project management and can lead to significant cost and schedule overruns. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes data analysis, root cause identification, stakeholder consultation, and adherence to established project management methodologies. When faced with efficiency challenges, the process should involve 1. Acknowledging and validating the study's findings. 2. Collaborating with stakeholders to understand their perspectives on the bottleneck. 3. Analyzing the current process to pinpoint specific inefficiencies. 4. Developing and implementing solutions that are both effective and compliant with project governance. 5. Communicating changes and their expected impact to all relevant parties. Question 13. Regulatory review indicates that during the implementation of Oracle Project Management Cloud 2022, a key stakeholder group, representing the finance department, has expressed concerns about the proposed resource allocation model, believing it will negatively impact their departmental budget reporting accuracy. The project manager needs to decide how to proceed to ensure project success while adhering to OPM 2022 implementation best practices. Which of the following actions best aligns with the regulatory framework and professional project management principles? Option A. Inform the finance department that their concerns are noted but the current plan is final due to project constraints, and they will need to adjust their reporting processes accordingly. Option B. Schedule a dedicated workshop with the finance department to thoroughly understand their specific concerns, collaboratively explore alternative resource allocation scenarios, and document any agreed-upon adjustments to be incorporated into the project plan. Option C. Proceed with the current resource allocation plan, assuming the finance department will adapt to the new system once it is fully implemented, as the project timeline is critical. Option D. Exclude the finance department from further detailed discussions on resource allocation to avoid delays, focusing instead on engaging with departments that are more aligned with the project's current direction. The correct answer is B. Schedule a dedicated workshop with the finance department to thoroughly understand their specific concerns, collaboratively explore alternative resource allocation scenarios, and document any agreed-upon adjustments to be incorporated into the project plan. Explanation: this scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the immediate need for project progress with the long-term implications of stakeholder engagement and compliance with Oracle's Project Management Cloud OPM 2022 implementation guidelines. The core of the challenge lies in understanding how to effectively manage stakeholder expectations and ensure their buy-in, especially when faced with resistance or differing priorities. The regulatory framework for the 1Z0-1057-22 exam emphasizes a structured and compliant approach to project management, which includes robust stakeholder management as a critical success factor. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it aligns with the principles of effective stakeholder engagement as outlined in OPM 2022 guidelines. Proactively identifying and engaging all relevant stakeholders, understanding their needs and concerns, and incorporating their feedback into the project plan demonstrates a commitment to transparency and collaboration. This fosters trust, reduces the likelihood of scope creep or resistance, and ultimately contributes to a more successful project outcome. Adhering to these OPM guidelines ensures that the project is not only technically sound, but also socially and organizationally accepted. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on technical implementation without adequate stakeholder consultation would represent a significant regulatory and ethical failure. This failure stems from a disregard for the human element of project management, which is implicitly and explicitly addressed in OPM best practices. Such an approach could lead to project delays, budget overruns due to rework, and ultimately project failure, all of which are contrary to the objectives of compliant project management. Ethically, it demonstrates a lack of respect for the contributions and perspectives of those impacted by the project. Another incorrect approach that prioritizes the project manager's personal preferences over documented stakeholder requirements would also be a regulatory and ethical breach. This is a failure of objectivity and adherence to established project governance. The OPM framework mandates that decisions be based on project objectives, stakeholder input, and approved project plans, not on individual biases. This can lead to a loss of stakeholder confidence and undermine the integrity of the project management process. A third incorrect approach that involves withholding critical project information from certain stakeholders to expedite decision-making is a direct violation of ethical principles and OPM guidelines regarding transparent communication. This can create an uneven playing field, foster mistrust, and lead to misinformed decisions. The regulatory framework emphasizes open and honest communication to ensure all stakeholders are adequately informed and can participate meaningfully in the project. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a systematic approach to stakeholder analysis and engagement. This includes 1. Identifying all potential stakeholders and their level of influence and interest. 2. Developing a comprehensive stakeholder engagement plan that outlines communication strategies, feedback mechanisms, and methods for managing expectations. 3. Regularly reviewing and updating the stakeholder engagement plan based on project progress and evolving stakeholder needs. 4. Prioritizing open and honest communication, ensuring that all stakeholders have access to relevant information in a timely manner. 5. Actively seeking and incorporating stakeholder feedback into project decisions and plans, demonstrating a commitment to collaboration and consensus building. Question 14. The control framework reveals a critical scope change request submitted by a key stakeholder that, if approved, would significantly alter the project's deliverables. The project manager must decide how to proceed. Which of the following actions best aligns with established project governance and best practices within the Oracle Project Management Cloud environment? Option A. Conduct a comprehensive impact assessment of the proposed change on project scope, schedule, cost, resources, and risks, and then present the findings and a recommendation to the Change Control Board for a formal decision. Option B. Reject the scope change request outright, citing the need to adhere strictly to the original project plan and avoid any deviation. Option C. Immediately implement the requested scope change to ensure stakeholder satisfaction and avoid potential project delays caused by lengthy approval processes. Option D. Inform the stakeholder that the change request cannot be accommodated due to the project's current phase and suggest revisiting it in a future project iteration. The correct answer is A. Conduct a comprehensive impact assessment of the proposed change on project scope, schedule, cost, resources, and risks, and then present the findings and a recommendation to the Change Control Board for a formal decision. Explanation. The control framework reveals a critical juncture in project execution where a significant scope change request has been submitted by a key stakeholder. This scenario is professionally challenging because it directly impacts project baselines, scope, schedule, cost, and requires a structured, objective decision-making process to ensure project success and adherence to governance. The challenge lies in balancing stakeholder satisfaction with maintaining project integrity and achieving defined objectives, all within the Oracle Project Management Cloud environment. Correct approach, which involves a thorough impact assessment of the scope change request against project objectives, baselines, and resource availability, represents best professional practice. This aligns with the principles of robust project governance and change control mandated by standard project management methodologies and implicitly supported by integrated functionalities. Specifically, it ensures that any deviation from the approved plan is understood, documented, and approved through a defined process, preventing scope creep and maintaining accountability. This systematic evaluation is crucial for informed decision-making, allowing project managers to present clear, data-driven recommendations to the Change Control Board or relevant authority. An incorrect approach that bypasses the formal change control process and directly implements the requested scope change without proper assessment is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. This demonstrates a disregard for established project governance, potentially leading to uncontrolled cost overruns, schedule delays, and a failure to meet original project objectives. Ethically, it undermines transparency and accountability within the project team and to stakeholders. Another incorrect approach, which is to reject the scope change request outright without any evaluation or consideration of its potential benefits, also represents a failure. This can lead to stakeholder dissatisfaction, missed opportunities, and a perception of inflexibility, potentially damaging professional relationships and project momentum. It fails to uphold the principle of adaptive planning, which allows for necessary adjustments while maintaining control. Professionals should employ a structured decision-making framework when faced with scope change requests. This framework typically involves 1. Receiving and logging the change request. 2. Performing a detailed impact analysis, scope, schedule, cost, resources, quality, risk. 3. Evaluating the benefits and risks of the proposed change. 4. Documenting the findings and recommendations. And 5. Submitting the request and analysis for formal approval through the established change control process. This iterative and documented approach ensures that decisions are made based on comprehensive information and adherence to project governance. Question 15. Quality control measures reveal a significant defect in a key deliverable during the final testing phase of a critical project. The defect, if unaddressed, will impact user experience and potentially lead to system instability. The project is currently on schedule and within budget, but addressing this defect will require additional resources and potentially a slight extension to the timeline. The project manager must decide on the best course of action. Option A. Immediately authorize a costly rework of the affected component to ensure the defect is fixed, without further investigation into the root cause or alternative solutions. Option B. Proceed with project delivery as scheduled, assuming the defect is minor and will not significantly affect the end users or the overall project success. Option C. Conduct a thorough root cause analysis of the defect, assess its full impact on project objectives and stakeholder expectations, and then evaluate a range of corrective actions, considering their implications for schedule, budget, and scope before recommending a solution. Option D. Inform senior management of the defect and request their directive on how to proceed, without providing a detailed analysis or proposed solutions. The correct answer is C. Conduct a thorough root cause analysis of the defect, assess its full impact on project objectives and stakeholder expectations, and then evaluate a range of corrective actions, considering their implications for schedule, budget, and scope before recommending a solution. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in project management, where a critical quality issue is identified late in the project lifecycle. The challenge lies in balancing the immediate need to address the quality defect with the project's constraints of time, budget, and scope. The project manager must make a swift, informed decision that minimizes negative impact on the project objectives and stakeholders, while adhering to established project management principles and organizational policies. The pressure to deliver on time and within budget can lead to pressure to overlook or downplay quality issues, making objective decision-making paramount. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a structured decision-making process that prioritizes understanding the root cause and impact of the quality defect. This aligns with best professional practice by ensuring that decisions are data-driven and consider all relevant factors. Specifically, it involves a thorough impact assessment, exploring all viable corrective actions, and evaluating their trade-offs against project objectives and constraints. This methodical approach minimizes the risk of making a hasty decision that could lead to further problems or compromise project success. It also demonstrates accountability and a commitment to delivering a quality product or service, which is a cornerstone of professional project management. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves immediately implementing a costly rework without fully understanding the root cause or exploring less disruptive alternatives. This represents a failure to adhere to efficient resource management principles and could lead to unnecessary budget overruns and schedule delays. Ethically, it could be seen as a failure to exercise due diligence in seeking the most effective solution. Another incorrect approach is to defer the decision to a higher authority without providing a comprehensive analysis of the situation and recommended solutions. This abdicates responsibility and can lead to delays in resolution, potentially exacerbating the quality issue. It fails to demonstrate leadership and proactive problem solving, which are essential professional attributes. A third incorrect approach is to proceed with the project as planned, assuming the quality issue is minor and will not significantly impact the end user or project deliverables. This is a direct violation of quality management principles and carries a high risk of delivering a substandard product, leading to reputational damage, customer dissatisfaction, and potential future costs for remediation. It demonstrates a disregard for quality standards and a failure to manage project risks effectively. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a structured decision-making framework that includes 1. Problem identification and definition. Clearly articulate the quality issue. 2. Root cause analysis. Investigate why the issue occurred. 3. Impact assessment. Determine the consequences on scope, schedule, budget, and quality. 4. Solution generation. Brainstorm multiple corrective actions. 5. Solution evaluation. Assess each solution against criteria like feasibility, cost, time, and impact. 6. Decision-making. Select the optimal solution based on the evaluation. 7. Implementation and monitoring. Execute the chosen solution and track its effectiveness. This framework ensures that decisions are rational, well-supported, and aligned with project goals and professional standards. Question 16. Implementation of a critical project deliverable for a key client has encountered an unexpected technical impediment, delaying its completion beyond the agreed-upon deadline. The project manager has identified the root cause and has a potential workaround, but it will require additional testing and may impact the final scope slightly. The client is expecting a demonstration of the deliverable within 2 days. What is the most professionally responsible course of action? Option A. Inform the client that the deliverable will be significantly delayed due to unforeseen technical challenges and suggest rescheduling the demonstration indefinitely until a permanent fix is found. Option B. Immediately inform the client about the delay, explain the technical issue and the proposed workaround, and request a brief extension for the demonstration while assuring them of the commitment to deliver a high-quality solution. Option C. Proceed with the demonstration using the workaround without informing the client of the underlying technical issue, hoping they will not notice the minor scope deviation. Option D. Delay informing the client until the workaround is fully implemented and tested, and the deliverable is ready for final acceptance to avoid causing them undue concern. The correct answer is B. Immediately inform the client about the delay, explain the technical issue and the proposed workaround, and request a brief extension for the demonstration while assuring them of the commitment to deliver a high-quality solution. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in project management where a critical deliverable, essential for client acceptance and subsequent payment, is delayed due to unforeseen technical issues. The project manager must balance the need to maintain client satisfaction and contractual obligations with the reality of project constraints and potential impacts on scope, schedule, and budget. The pressure to deliver on time, coupled with the client's expectation of a fully functional product, creates a complex decision-making environment. The project manager's judgment is crucial in determining the most appropriate course of action that upholds professional integrity and adheres to project governance. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves transparent communication with the client, a thorough assessment of the impact of the delay, and a collaborative effort to find a mutually agreeable solution. This aligns with best professional practices in project management, emphasizing stakeholder engagement and proactive problem solving. Specifically, within the Oracle Project Management Cloud 2022 framework, this approach is supported by the principles of effective communication and risk management. By informing the client early and providing a clear, data-driven assessment of the situation, the project manager builds trust and allows for informed decision-making. Proposing alternative solutions, such as a phased delivery or a revised timeline with clear milestones, demonstrates a commitment to project success while managing expectations. This proactive and collaborative stance is ethically sound, as it avoids misleading the client and seeks to find a path forward that respects all parties' interests. Incorrect approaches analysis, delaying communication with the client until the issue is fully resolved, is a significant ethical and professional failure. This approach violates the principle of transparency and can lead to a breakdown of trust. It also prevents the client from making informed decisions about their own business operations, which may be dependent on the project's deliverables. From a project management perspective, it represents poor risk management, as it allows a known issue to fester without stakeholder awareness. Attempting to deliver a partially functional deliverable without full disclosure to the client is also professionally unacceptable. This can lead to client dissatisfaction, rework, and potential contractual disputes. It misrepresents the state of the project and can damage the reputation of both the project team and the implementing organization. Ethically, it is deceptive and fails to uphold the commitment to delivering quality work. Escalating the issue to senior management without first attempting to engage the client and explore solutions is premature and can be perceived as an abdication of responsibility. While escalation is a tool, it should be used after the project manager has exhausted reasonable options for resolution. This approach can create unnecessary bureaucracy and may not lead to the most effective solution, as it bypasses the direct stakeholders who have the most vested interest in the outcome. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a structured decision-making framework that prioritizes clear communication, thorough analysis, and collaborative problem-solving. This framework typically involves 1. Identifying the problem and its potential impact. 2. Gathering all relevant information and data. 3. Evaluating potential solutions and their consequences. 4. Consulting with stakeholders to gain their input and buy-in. 5. Selecting the most appropriate course of action based on project objectives, contractual obligations, and ethical considerations. 6. Implementing the chosen solution and monitoring its effectiveness. In this scenario, the project manager must act as a facilitator and problem solver, leveraging the tools and principles of Oracle Project Management Cloud to navigate the challenge effectively and maintain strong client relationships. Question 17. The evaluation methodology shows a project manager receiving a request from a key stakeholder to incorporate a new feature into the project scope. This feature was not part of the original approved baseline, but the stakeholder believes it will significantly enhance the product's marketability. The project manager must decide how to proceed, considering the project's constraints and the stakeholder's influence. Option A. Reject the feature request outright, citing the importance of adhering strictly to the original project baseline without further discussion. Option B. Immediately approve the feature request to maintain stakeholder satisfaction and avoid potential conflicts, assuming the impact will be manageable. Option C. Inform the stakeholder that the request cannot be accommodated due to the project's current phase and suggest it be considered for a future project iteration. Option D. Formally document the change request. Conduct a thorough impact analysis on scope, schedule, cost, and risk, and present the findings for formal approval through the established change control process. The correct answer is D. Formally document the change request. Conduct a thorough impact analysis on scope, schedule, cost, and risk, and present the findings for formal approval through the established change control process. Explanation. The evaluation methodology shows a project manager facing a critical decision regarding scope change. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing competing interests, delivering the project on time and within budget versus accommodating a stakeholder's request that, while potentially beneficial, introduces significant risk and deviates from the approved baseline. The project manager must adhere to the Oracle Project Management Cloud (OPM) 2022 Certified Implementation Professional Framework, which emphasizes structured decision-making and adherence to established processes. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a systematic, data-driven evaluation of the proposed change against the project's baseline and objectives. This aligns with OPM principles of change control, risk management, and stakeholder engagement. By formally documenting the change request, assessing its impact on scope, schedule, cost, and quality, and then seeking formal approval through the established change control process, the project manager ensures transparency, accountability, and informed decision-making. This method minimizes the risk of scope creep, budget overruns, and schedule delays, while also ensuring that any approved changes are strategically aligned with project goals. An incorrect approach that involves immediately approving the change without proper assessment is a regulatory and ethical failure. It bypasses the established change control process mandated by OPM best practices, leading to uncontrolled scope creep and potential budget and schedule overruns. This demonstrates a lack of professional diligence and can erode stakeholder trust. Another incorrect approach, rejecting the change outright without considering its potential benefits or engaging the stakeholder, fails to uphold the principle of effective stakeholder management. While adherence to the baseline is crucial, a rigid refusal can damage relationships and miss opportunities for project enhancement. This approach lacks the collaborative and adaptive spirit required in modern project management. Professionals should employ a structured decision-making framework when faced with scope change requests. This framework typically involves 1. Understanding the request, clearly define the proposed change and its rationale. 2. Impact assessment, quantify the impact on all project constraints, scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, risk. 3. Options analysis, explore different ways to implement or address the change, including alternatives. 4. Recommendation, formulate a clear recommendation based on the assessment and options. 5. Stakeholder consultation, discuss findings and recommendations with relevant stakeholders. 6. Formal approval. Submit the change request through the established change control board or approval process. This systematic approach ensures that decisions are informed, defensible, and aligned with project governance. Question 18. Stakeholder feedback indicates a significant divergence in opinion regarding the prioritization of a new feature request versus addressing critical technical debt within an ongoing Oracle Project Management Cloud implementation. One key stakeholder group, representing sales, strongly advocates for the immediate inclusion of the new feature to capitalize on a perceived market opportunity. Conversely, the technical team and a segment of the operations stakeholders emphasize the urgency of resolving technical debt to ensure system stability and long-term performance, which they argue is foundational for future feature development and user adoption. The project manager must decide how to proceed. Option A. Immediately prioritize the new feature request, as per the sales stakeholders' strong recommendation, given their direct link to revenue generation, and defer the technical debt discussion to a later phase. Option B. Delegate the decision to the steering committee without providing a detailed analysis of the implications of each option, allowing them to make an arbitrary choice. Option C. Initiate a formal change request process to evaluate the business value, technical feasibility, and impact on schedule and budget for both the new feature and the technical debt remediation. Facilitate a cross-functional workshop to present the findings and collaboratively determine the optimal path forward, considering the project's strategic objectives and overall risk profile. Option D. Inform all stakeholders that the project is currently too complex to accommodate further changes and suggest postponing all new requests until after the initial go-live. The correct answer is C. Initiate a formal change request process to evaluate the business value, technical feasibility, and impact on schedule and budget for both the new feature and the technical debt remediation. Facilitate a cross-functional workshop to present the findings and collaboratively determine the optimal path forward, considering the project's strategic objectives and overall risk profile. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in project management where conflicting stakeholder priorities, driven by differing business objectives and perceived project value, create tension. The project manager must navigate these competing interests to ensure the project remains aligned with overall organizational strategy and delivers the intended benefits, all while maintaining stakeholder buy-in and managing expectations. The challenge lies in objectively evaluating the impact of each stakeholder's request against the project's defined scope, budget, and timeline, and making a decision that serves the greater good of the project and the organization. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a structured decision-making framework that prioritizes objective analysis and alignment with project objectives. This means evaluating each stakeholder request based on its impact on key project constraints, scope, schedule, cost, quality, and its contribution to the project's business case and strategic goals. By engaging in a transparent discussion with stakeholders, presenting the analyzed impacts, and seeking consensus on the best path forward, the project manager demonstrates professional integrity and adherence to best practices in project governance. This aligns with the principles of Oracle Project Management Cloud, which emphasizes data-driven decision-making and effective stakeholder engagement to achieve project success. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves immediately acceding to the loudest or most senior stakeholder's request without proper evaluation. This is professionally unacceptable as it bypasses objective analysis, potentially leading to scope creep, budget overrun, and schedule delays. It undermines the project's integrity and can set a precedent for future uncontrolled changes, violating principles of sound project management and potentially leading to project failure. Ethically, it can be seen as favoritism, creating an unfair environment. Another incorrect approach is to defer the decision indefinitely or to avoid addressing the conflicting requests. This demonstrates a lack of leadership and proactive problem solving. It allows the conflict to fester, potentially damaging stakeholder relationships and jeopardizing project progress. This passive approach fails to uphold the project manager's responsibility to guide the project towards its objectives and can lead to missed opportunities or increased risks. A third incorrect approach is to make a decision based solely on personal preference or past experiences without considering the current project's specific context and constraints. This is unprofessional and risky, as each project has unique dynamics. It ignores the valuable input from stakeholders and the data available within the project management system, leading to suboptimal decisions that may not align with the project's strategic intent or deliver the expected value. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a structured decision-making framework, such as a change control process or a weighted scoring model for evaluating requests. This framework should involve 1. Clearly defining the problem and the conflicting requirements. 2. Gathering all relevant data and impact assessments for each request. 3. Evaluating each option against project objectives, constraints, and strategic alignment. 4. Facilitating open and transparent communication with all stakeholders, presenting the analysis and potential trade-offs. 5. Seeking consensus, or making a well-justified decision based on the objective analysis, documenting the rationale thoroughly. This systematic approach ensures that decisions are informed, defensible, and in the best interest of the project and the organization. Question 19. Cost-benefit analysis shows that implementing a new, unproven third-party integration tool could significantly reduce manual data entry effort and associated labor costs for a critical project phase. However, this tool has not undergone the organization's standard vendor assessment process, and its integration with existing Oracle Project Management Cloud modules has not been formally tested, raising concerns about data integrity and potential security vulnerabilities. The project manager is faced with deciding whether to proceed with the integration based on the immediate cost savings or to adhere to the established procurement and integration testing protocols. Option A. Rely on the recommendation of the IT department's lead developer who has prior experience with similar tools and proceed with the integration, assuming compatibility and security based on their expertise. Option B. Proceed with the integration of the new tool immediately, leveraging the projected cost savings, and address any potential data integrity or security issues as they arise during the project execution. Option C. Initiate a formal change request to evaluate the proposed integration tool, including a thorough vendor assessment, security review, and a pilot integration test within a sandbox environment of Oracle Project Management Cloud to assess its impact on data integrity and overall project performance before making a final decision. Option D. Inform the project sponsor of the potential cost savings and seek their direct approval to bypass standard vendor assessment and integration testing procedures, emphasizing the urgency of cost reduction. Correct answer is C. Initiate a formal change request to evaluate the proposed integration tool, including a thorough vendor assessment, security review, and a pilot integration test within a sandbox environment of Oracle Project Management Cloud to assess its impact on data integrity and overall project performance before making a final decision. Explanation: this scenario presents a common challenge in project management where a proposed change, while seemingly beneficial in isolation, introduces significant risks and potential conflicts with established project governance and contractual obligations. The professional challenge lies in balancing the perceived immediate advantages of the change against its broader implications for project success, stakeholder alignment, and adherence to the agreed-upon project framework. Careful judgment is required to avoid reactive decision-making and ensure that any deviation from the baseline plan is thoroughly vetted and strategically aligned. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a structured, risk-aware decision-making process aligned with project management principles and the Oracle Project Management Cloud framework. It acknowledges that changes, even those with apparent cost benefits, must be evaluated within the context of the entire project lifecycle, including scope, schedule, budget, quality, and stakeholder expectations. This approach ensures that decisions are not made in a vacuum, but are informed by a comprehensive understanding of potential impacts and are documented and approved through established change control processes. This aligns with the principles of good governance and responsible project execution, which are implicitly supported by the functionalities and best practices embedded within Oracle Project Management Cloud. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on the immediate cost savings without considering the downstream impacts fails to adhere to the principles of integrated project management. This could lead to scope creep, schedule delays, budget overruns in other areas, or quality degradation, ultimately undermining the project's objectives. Ethically, it represents a failure to act in the best interest of the project and its stakeholders by overlooking potential negative consequences. Another incorrect approach that bypasses formal change control processes, even with stakeholder buy-in for the immediate benefit, introduces significant risks. This can lead to a lack of audit trail, difficulty in tracking project baselines, and potential disputes later in the project lifecycle. It violates the principles of transparency and accountability, which are crucial for maintaining stakeholder trust and ensuring project integrity. A third incorrect approach that relies on anecdotal evidence or the opinion of a single influential stakeholder without rigorous analysis is professionally unsound. This bypasses the objective evaluation required for sound decision-making and can lead to biased outcomes. It fails to leverage the data and analytical tools available within Oracle Project Management Cloud, which are designed to support evidence-based decision-making. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a systematic evaluation of any proposed change. This includes 1. Understanding the proposed change and its intended benefits. 2. Assessing the potential impacts of the change across all project constraints, scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, risk. 3. Evaluating the change against the project's objectives and strategic goals. 4. Consulting relevant project documentation, including the project charter, scope statement, and risk management plan. 5. Utilizing project management tools and methodologies to analyze the change's feasibility and implications. 6. Following the established change control process, which typically involves documentation, impact assessment, stakeholder review, and formal approval or rejection. 7. Communicating the decision and its rationale to all relevant stakeholders. Question 20. Investigation of a project manager's response to a stakeholder's urgent request for a significant scope modification during the execution phase of a complex IT implementation project, where the modification appears beneficial but has not undergone the formal change control process. Option A. Escalate the request directly to the project sponsor for an immediate decision, bypassing the standard change control procedures. Option B. Inform the stakeholder that the request cannot be accommodated due to the project being in the execution phase and the lack of a formal change request. Option C. Initiate the formal change control process by documenting the request, assessing its impact on scope, schedule, cost, and resources, and presenting it to the Change Control Board for approval. Option D. Implement the requested change immediately to satisfy the stakeholder, assuming the benefits outweigh potential minor deviations from the plan. The correct answer is C. Initiate the formal change control process by documenting the request, assessing its impact on scope, schedule, cost, and resources, and presenting it to the Change Control Board for approval. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in project management where a critical decision regarding scope change needs to be made under pressure, with potential impacts on budget, schedule, and stakeholder satisfaction. The challenge lies in balancing the immediate perceived benefit of the change against its long-term implications and adherence to established project governance. The project manager must navigate conflicting stakeholder interests and ensure that decisions are not driven by short-term expediency, but by a robust evaluation process aligned with project objectives and organizational policies. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves initiating a formal change control process. This aligns with best practices in project management, as defined by frameworks like Oracle's Project Management Cloud, which emphasizes structured change management. This process ensures that all proposed changes are documented, assessed for their impact on scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, and risk, and then formally approved or rejected by the appropriate authority, e.g., Change Control Board. This systematic approach provides transparency, accountability, and a clear audit trail, preventing scope creep and ensuring that changes are aligned with overall project goals and strategic objectives. It upholds the principle of controlled project evolution, which is crucial for successful project delivery. Incorrect approaches analysis. Implementing the change immediately without a formal review bypasses established project governance. This is a significant regulatory and ethical failure, as it disregards the documented project plan and the agreed-upon change control procedures. It can lead to uncontrolled scope creep, budget overruns, schedule delays, and a breakdown in stakeholder trust, as decisions are made unilaterally without proper impact assessment or consensus. Escalating the issue to senior management without first attempting to resolve it through the defined change control process is also an inefficient and potentially disruptive approach. While senior management involvement may be necessary at later stages, bypassing the initial, structured assessment within the project team and change control board demonstrates a lack of initiative and adherence to established project management protocols. This can create an impression of an inability to manage the project effectively at the operational level, and can overburden senior management with operational details. Seeking informal consensus from a few key stakeholders without involving the entire change control board or following the formal documentation and approval steps is also problematic. This approach lacks the rigor and comprehensive assessment required for significant scope changes. It risks overlooking critical impacts on other project areas or stakeholders, and can lead to decisions that are not in the best interest of the project as a whole, potentially violating organizational policies on change management and project governance. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a structured decision-making framework that prioritizes adherence to established processes and governance. When faced with a scope change request, the first step is always to understand the request and its potential implications. This is followed by initiating the formal change control process, which includes impact analysis, documentation, and review by the appropriate authority. If the change is approved, it is then integrated into the project plan. If rejected, the reasons are documented, and the project proceeds without the change. This systematic approach ensures that decisions are data-driven, transparent, and aligned with project objectives and organizational policies, fostering a culture of accountability and controlled project execution.